Hi, hello. Welcome back to my YouTube channel where I do my knitting TV show podcast. I'm James and Watts, a knitwear designer, jeweler, and musician living in Chicago. And hi, sorry I stopped making videos for 2 months as I do, but I'm back and better than ever. But to anyone who missed me, oh, thank you. And sorry, genuinely, that I just stopped recording, but that's how it goes sometimes, you just get busy and overwhelmed. And then for me, it always becomes a thing of the longer it's been since the last time I've recorded, the more I start to feel pressure that, oh my gosh, I have to make a YouTube video. My goal is always to do one per month. And I feel like there's enough going on in my knitting life and personal life and internet life to where I could always have enough to make a video and have enough to talk and share about every month, but it just doesn't always happen. So yeah, and then the pressure builds up and then I'm even more avoidant. But today felt right. I mean, I've been thinking about like the past 2 weeks every day. I'm like considering like, is this the right day to record for YouTube? You would think I could just like, I don't know, kind of do it anytime. I generally make my own schedule. And yet I can't always. I have to like wait till truly the stars align. But today was an especially auspicious day to record because I got a haircut. So I'm looking very fresh and alien-like. And I also decided to switch it up and shave off my beard into a goatee, which I almost never do. For years and years and years, I did not have a beard. I just had a mustache, and I loved that look, and I actually think I want to go back to that soon. But this was like a intermediary step. And this was very like such a risk to cut off my beard because I did a little photo shoot today, and I just spur of the moment. I was just shaving like normal, and then I was like, F it, I'm gonna just take off my beard. But I like it. But yeah, probably pretty soon I'll shave off the rest of the goatee and just have the mustache for a little while. Like sometimes it's just really nice to see my face. Um, it was around this time last year because I remember I took pictures for my Polar Star cap and I think I just had a mustache, no beard. And I like immediately missed my beard that time, so we'll see if that happens again. And like even 1 week of like stubble looks pretty good, I think. So it's like it's really not a big deal if I immediately decide I hate it and want to grow my beard back. But yeah, not only did I get a haircut, change my facial hair, but I also, while getting ready for my photo shoot, decided to put on my red eyeliner on the waterline, which that was several hours ago at this point, so I don't know if you can still see it, but that is like one of my favorite signature looks. I also had a little bit of the Fenty, I forget what it's called. It's their lip stain. I don't even know if they still make it because I probably bought it 3 years ago. But I put the red Fenty lip stain just in the center. I learned what a Korean gradient lip was like 10 years ago and I never looked back. Like if I'm gonna do something to my lips, unless I'm gonna go for like a crazy color, which I used to do that all the time and now I almost never wear lipstick for anything just because why would I at home? I might for a photo shoot or like a party. But if I'm going for like a red or like a natural color, it's always going to be a Korean gradient lip, which if you don't know what that is, you can Google it, but it's just concentrating your lip color on the center of your lips and diffusing it outward. So it's like innocent looking, like you've just had like a red lollipop or something, right? Kind of perverted to say it that way, but whatever. Um, but I took my photos today by myself, DSLR, or not even a DSLR, my mirrorless interchangeable lens camera on a tripod using my phone, the app for my phone as a remote. and self-timer. So it's like I have to hit the button on my phone and quickly put my phone in my pocket and pose for the photo. And it's in like the 40s today outside. And I was like in the woods and by the water. It's like this tiny park that I pass all the time. And I always think like, I bet this would be a good photo shoot spot. I never gone and explored, but today I did. And then to treat myself after, because I was out there for a minimum 1 hour taking photos in the cold, like no gloves or anything, no hat. Also in like a lacy sweater filled with holes. So I was pretty chilled when I finished, and I was like, I'm so hungry and I don't have like good lunch stuff at my house right now. So let me go out for lunch. And this is like a part of the neighborhood that I'm in all the time, but I don't usually go out to eat that often. So I've always seen that there's almost like a, I want to call it like a little Viet town, because there's like one or two strip centers or squares with a bunch of Vietnamese restaurants. And I've always clocked that like, ooh, there's like a concentration of Vietnamese food here. I bet some of it's good. And finally I went for pho. And it was so good. And I really did it up big. And I was like, let me get a large pho and egg rolls and a Vietnamese iced coffee for like a really proper feast. And it was so good. I was immediately like in the best mood that I've been in for like a week, probably, or more after eating that lunch. Like, it hit me a few bites in that like I was eating it with my shoulders tensed up, and then I was just tasting how good it was and how warm, and I instantly was like, oh my God, I actually can relax. Like, let me just relax and enjoy my lunch. And yeah, so good. But I will get more into the photo shoot in a little bit because I'm not ready to talk about that sweater. I don't know how much I care about like filling in what's happened in my life or like where I've gone, but I'll do a quick fill in because I think I last recorded probably in like September, maybe early September or even end of August. I don't remember. So like late the end of summer, and now we're like mid fall. So it's been a couple of months, but I went to Florida on a road trip back to my old stomping grounds with friends who love to swim. So it was me, Park, Jessie May, and our friend Lindy. And it was beautiful. I wish I could go to Florida regularly. I wish I could go once a month if it were that simple. When I lived in Tallahassee, where I went to Florida State University for my master's, I didn't really know about the springs at first, but after the pandemic hit and I started getting more outside, I learned about the natural springs, and then I never looked back, and I would swim year round. The water is like crystal clear blue in most of the springs year round. It's 70 degrees year round, so it's just like a little bit chilly, but totally tolerable. Lots of beautiful wildlife, manatees, fish, alligators, river otters. You see it all. So that's what we did for like, I don't know, a week and a half, like a little under 2 weeks. It was a really nice trip. And it's a long drive, but with friends and like trading off, it was so doable. We left Chicago at like 4 in the morning, and we got to Florida with all of our stops and stuff and picking up Lindy at the airport on the way in Atlanta. It was around midnight by the time we got back. But I'd say the drive time was 14 and a half hours thereabout. So I did Florida. I was working on socks and my new lacy sweater while I was there. And then I came back for a few weeks and then had my trip to see my family because I didn't go home at all during the summer to Texas. So I kind of felt like I was overdue to go to Texas. And the International Quilt Show that happens in Houston, where I'm from, every year is the largest quilt festival in the world. So I've been many times and I really love to go see. It's like half of it is a huge exhibition and half of it is a huge vendor hall. And I mostly like to see the exhibition, even though I'm not a quilter. I do sew and I have aspirations to quilt. So anytime I've ever been to the quilt show, it's like really, really inspiring, and it badly makes me want to quilt, and I'm sure one day I will. But I sort of just popped into my head like, oh, the quilt show is going to be coming up in the fall. Maybe that's when I should go home. And that's what I did. Because I also then saw there's this gem show hosted by Intergem, which is not like a huge gem show. It's like a lot of it is like beads, finished jewelry, probably more actual finished jewelry than gems. For people who are like, I mean, some people are just shopping who like jewelry, but a lot of it is probably like wholesalers who want like fine jewelry for boutiques and stuff. But there's enough people who deal in like actual loose gemstones to make it worth my while to go when it comes to Chicago, which it comes to Chicago probably like 3 times per year. And I went every time it came since I've been here. But I saw that same organizer had a show in Houston like the weekend after the quilt show. So I was like, this is perfect. Let me come for 1 week, hit the quilt show when I arrive, hit the gem show before I go. And then it just so happened when I was talking to my family about the dates that they were already in planning for a little road trip with my parents and my sister's partner, Ashley. And they were going to go through the Ozarks, which I've always like been curious about. So I just invited myself. I was like, okay, if I'm going to be there, I might as well stay the extra week and come on y'all's trip. And they were all really excited that I wanted to go. um, and it was nice. Like it was totally easy. Also road tripping. My parents' car is pretty big, so it's like comfortable. One person has to kind of be in the super tiny like third row in the back, uh, which I was driving a lot. And when I wasn't driving, I was usually sitting in the passenger seat just because I was already up in the front and all my knitting and my stuff was up there. But a few times I sat in the back and I actually was like, I really don't mind being crammed into a little space. So our next road trip, I could just volunteer to sit there more. Uh, the Ozarks for me were fine. Like, it was nice to go once, but I probably would not really go back. I did find a lake to swim in, Beaver Lake or Beaver Dam or whatever, outside of or in Eureka Springs. And that was a perfectly nice swim, a beautiful, large, man-made lake, but still really beautiful. The temperature was super comfortable, even for October. So yeah, the Ozarks. Why I wouldn't go back? I don't know. Maybe there's other parts of the Ozarks that I still like haven't seen that would be nice. Like, um, but I mostly want to go somewhere where I can swim in a lot of beautiful places or have like really gorgeous hiking. And yeah, I think there's other places I could go for that. I was very ready to be back home after 2 weeks uh, away, and like I get along fine with everyone in my family, but in general, I just do really well in solitary confinement in my house in Chicago. So if I'm away, I can't wait to get back and recharge. And when I came back, I really had eyes clouded by love. For like 1 week, I was so freaking productive and in a good mood. And then that was done. And now I'm like moody and depressed again. But that's my life. So be it. I feel like I avoid the extremes. Like, I'm never extremely manic or extremely depressive, but within a smaller spectrum, I'm all over the place. Like, I do have a nice baseline in the middle that I try not to skew far from, but I'm day by day, week to week, like, my mood is ever changing. Um, no, I'm not even like that depressed. What it is like I feel like within every given day, I have a lot of energy for the first half of the day. And then I go do a really hard workout, which I enjoy. And then I just feel dead. I feel like I can't do anything after my workout. And then I'm like, okay, I just have to play video games or knit or read a book or something. So I'd have aspirations. This is unrealistic, but I like always think I'm going to, and what I want to do is like work all day and try to get a lot done. For the girl bossification of it, to make money, but also because I like what I do. I like my work. Right now, whatever. Well, I'm in between patterns, and I have to do the part that I don't want to do, which is sitting in front of a computer and like doing math. And what I'm designing is not even that complicated, but similar to recording a YouTube video, I need the stars to align for like what all is ahead of me that I have to do scheduling wise, and like just everything else on my plate, and then picking like a perfect day, like also mentally and physically, like energy wise, to make sure like I have the bandwidth to sit down and understand a little bit of math and stay focused for a few hours at a time. Pray for me. That, because I don't have any, well, yeah, I don't have the design work ready that I want to knit. I have other stuff I'm knitting, but there's this cardigan I really want to knit. So pray for me that I do the part that I don't want to do so I can start knitting it, because I actually think I'm going to knit it fast and it's going to be enjoyable. Okay, that was enough of an intro, don't you think? Before I start getting into the rest of the meat of this video, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Westwool. Woo! So, Westwool is the house yarn brand for Stephen and Penelope, Stephen West's Amsterdam yarn shop. And Westwool is the perfect brand for shopping for your basics. They specialize in solid color yarns and a wide spectrum of yarn weights and even wider spectrum of colors. Their fingering and DK weight bases, bicycle and tandem, come in 100 solid colors. So much of my design relies on solid color yarn, so having access to a huge palette like this is like an indispensable tool for me. Their yarns are at an excellent price point. They offer bulk order discounts, which is perfect when you need a sweater's quantity. And viewers of my channel can get 10% off any size order by using the code JamesWatts10. And that's all in caps. And I'll have it in the video description below. And there's also a special magic link they gave me to where I can just put the link in the video description and you can click on that and the coupon's going to be automatically applied on Westwool products at checkout. And by the way, that is not an affiliate code. I don't get a kickback from that. That is just a code to save you money on yarn shopping. So I've designed with glow hair, tricycle, and tandem. So today I wanted to try out and show off one of the yarns that's new to me. And I chose Cargo, which is their bulky weight yarn. As soon as they sent it to me, it really caught my eye. Like, I love a bulky weight yarn that has like a really fat plied texture. It's so cushy and chunky. Whenever I see bulky weight yarns like that, and what it inspires me is something I probably will never knit because I don't have the time. But I always see that and I'm like, oh my God, I would love to knit a blanket. And you know what? If you're committing to knitting a bulky weight blanket, it's actually not gonna be that much time, right? So maybe actually more doable than I thought. But let me show you, I knit a couple of swatches. What is this color? Did I write it down? Cucumber. I did a good job of preparing for my video this time. I have notes, and as you just saw, I actually wrote out my own copy for the sponsored segment of this video. So Westwool, if you're watching, hey. So I knit up this swatch in Cargo, and this uses the same lace that I'm going to talk about a little bit later for my other Westwool design, actually. Just because I've had this lace motif in my mind and my hands are used to it, I have the charts already. So I was like, let me just see what this lace would look like, because I did it in a lace weight mohair, I was like, let me see how it translates to bulky weight yarn. And that's also just a concept that's been like floating around my mind for months now. Is like, I want to at some point do a bulky or super bulky weight all lace sweater on big needles. I just love the way it like magnifies the motif. I think it plays with expectations a little bit. Like, I don't know. To begin with, there's not a ton of designers that come to mind who really even do that much like lace garments, especially like full lace all over garments. And the ones that you do see are more often than not gonna be fine weight yarns, right? Lace weights, fingering weights. Definitely you're not seeing a ton of bulky lace weight, not lace weight, a ton of bulky weight lace motif sweaters. So it's just something that I thought, well, that would be fun, but let me give you a better look. Oh my God, I tried to frame it so you don't see my huge pile of crap over here, but let me also cover my face. Hopefully you're getting a really good look at that. I also promise one day I'm gonna go back to using my good camera where I can have a monitor. I just have to wait till I'm ready. First of all, two reasons. My computer where I do my editing is still out of commission, and I truly have been avoiding dealing with that because I'm worried of what it's gonna cost to fix, or even worse, that they might be like, oh, you should just get a new computer, which I don't want to do because like my laptop that I use for day-to-day things like my pattern writing and stuff, I hate that laptop. It's a Dell, and I kind of knew I didn't want a Dell, but I just got one anyway because like I didn't know what else to get. Because I'm an iPhone girly. I'm not really an iMac girly. I'm just so used to PC and it's what I like, okay? Uh, my laptop, it would not be great to deal with large video files, I don't think. So yeah, I need to get that resolved. And I need a different lens if I'm gonna record a video inside my apartment. I'm still really glad I primarily got that camera for video recording, and now I'm not using it for that, but I'm glad I have it because I'm using it to photograph my designs. As much as I love to do film, like sometimes I just don't have like today for my photo shoot, I did it completely like with my phone and the remote. Like I can't do that with a film camera. I'm also using it for all my macro photography for jewelry, which is great. But yeah, one day I'm gonna get the lens that I want for video in my apartment and figure out how I'm gonna edit it on what computer. So yeah, love the way this swatch turned out. It's just ushy gushy, such a soft merino yarn. And then I also just did one more mini swatch just for fun of the cargo with the glow hair, the mohair base from Westwool, in a brioche swatch. It's so pretty, right? This reminds me a lot of my Earth and Air pattern, which was maybe my first garment pattern ever, which is a worsted weight and lace weight mohair held together for brioche. That's something else that like, again, it's just like such a fun play of weight and texture that's unexpected, and it's something I've wanted to revisit for years. I think I even at some point said that I was like low-key promising to do Earth and Air raglan, and I still will. But I don't know when, and nobody knows when. Nobody can say. If I live long enough, it will get done. That is that on cargo. Thank you again, Westwool, for sponsoring this video. And while we're on the topic of Westwool, I will go ahead and talk about my Lacrim sweater, which I have shown on the channel. I was just getting started on it for the last time I recorded a video. I don't remember if I had actually cast on the sweater or if I had just knit the swatch. But this took me a long time. I loved knitting it and I loved the way it turned out. I just feel like I was feeling a little bit less motivated about knitting in general, so I wasn't doing it every day the way I should be. But I had other stuff going on, music stuff and travel and jewelry always. So it took me about 2 months to knit this, and then I just put this into testing like 1 week ago or less. Yeah, I think potentially less. Anyway, some of my testers are like done with the bodies of their sweaters already. And I'm like, dang, why did it take me 2 months? To be fair, I was working on the pattern while I was knitting it kind of simultaneously, which I love when I don't do that. I love when I do all of the evil work of the math and the writing before the knitting, and I like do a really good job so that I don't have to do it after. And then when I'm doing the knitting, I know I can just follow a pattern. And then I'm more likely to catch mistakes that way. Yeah, it was very annoying for the writing process to take as long as the knitting process. So like I kind of half wrote the pattern at the start and then I knit the whole thing in 2 months. And then 2 months later, I had to get my mind back into that Excel sheet of like, okay, what was I doing in here and what needs to be done still. And then when I put out the test, I'll just tell you because I'm not ashamed. I did have a mistake in one of the first like action parts of the pattern where, you know, there's a little bit of shaping on the back right and the back left shoulders to begin, and then they join in the center of the back neck. And the part where they join was not working correctly. And someone spotted that like within a couple hours of the start of the test. And I was like, ooh, let me look at this. Okay, here, I fixed it. And I sent it out. And then it was still wrong. And I sent it out 3 times before it was correct. And that's always a little bit embarrassing, but I try to have a sense of humor about it in the test knit, and it's not that deep. That's kind of the point, is like people are gonna find little things with tiny errors, and I fix them. I prefer to fix them on the first try. Lace can be confusing, especially when it's not right in front of me. I don't have a sweater that I'm working on. Then I'm looking at the one I knit and I'm like, how the hell did I just knit it? Like, I don't remember that part being anything other than easy and intuitive when I knit it. But I'm like, what did I follow? Anyway, it's working now, and I'm pleased to report, like, sometimes a test just needs to start with a hiccup like that, and then it's like kind of quiet and peaceful after that. Because now we've had another week in the test and there have been no other major issues or headaches. So that's great. Lots of people are flying by. I love knitting lace. I love designing lace, even though it's kind of difficult for me, at least. I'm sure some people think it's the easiest thing in the world. Yeah, I should be doing way more of it. I really like it. There's the one problem is I have so many fun concepts and ideas I want to explore with other techniques, and then I start working on them and I realize like I just don't love to knit some of the other techniques in knitting as much. Maybe if I found the right perspective and frame of mind and like eyes clouded with love instead of hate, I could probably brainwash myself into enjoying those, excuse me, those techniques more. But you know, I like to enjoy a moment of silence in the middle of a sentence on this television show. Yeah, I always love knitting lace. It's so exciting and like peaceful and relaxing to me and like motivating to me. Colorwork, don't love that. Cables, don't love that. But I really want to do cool colorwork designs and cool cable designs. I'm so pleased with how this has turned out, and I even love the way it looks on me. Something kind of annoying in like the way my body's changed over the years is I'm not loving the way a lot of my knitted garments look on me in the same way that I used to. Sometimes to the point where I'm like dreading modeling them. But I also think people have come to associate my designs with me. So I'm like, people have an expectation. I'm worried if I don't model them, then people won't know it's my work. And I don't know, maybe that would benefit me. Who knows? Because I definitely also think that there is a subset of knitters who like would see this, which honestly, like if we just want to be regressive, regressive and like traditional, then I would just say that this is a more feminine garment, right? My actual way that I see the world and live my life is that like clothes don't have gender. But if I just want to be like prescriptive and see the world the way the majority of earthlings see the world, then we can just be honest and say that most people will read this as a feminine garment and most men are not going to want to wear this. And I do think that there is a subset of knitters who have a hard time seeing past the model of something like this. If I'm modeling it, I'm very hairy. I look very masculine in certain ways. Um, and they'll see that and they won't be able to see themselves in the garment. Some people really want to see themselves in the model, which I understand. It's not necessarily like a bad thing. I think it's kind of a human thing. So yeah, sometimes I also wonder about having a more feminine model for my work and how that would affect perception and sales of my patterns. But then yes, I also think part of my success and charm is me and having my face be part of it. But yeah, I actually think I like the way this looks on me, and I think I'll wear it. I think it could be fun to layer over button-up shirts, or to wear as is with nothing underneath. I don't know what it is about not liking the way knitwear looks on me. I think in general, I'm just like dealing with body issues and I think I've always dealt with some level of dysmorphia and dysphoria when it comes to my body. And yeah, just having to reckon with clothing looking very different on me than it used to. I don't always love a knit, which is a shame. Let me just, I'm trying to think if there was something else I wanted to say about the photo shoot I did for this. I don't typically share like pattern quality photos. Sorry, I just opened my iPad to see two texts from one of my best friends back home. Felix. The first one said, "Hey." The second one said, "You're being a bitch." And if I had to guess why he sent me that, it's probably because I put my phone on Do Not Disturb before I started recording, which I'm sure he hates. I don't know if he attempted to call me since I've started this video. We talk most days, so it wouldn't surprise me if he attempted to call me and it went to voicemail and then he sent me that, which is a perfectly normal way for us to speak to each other, so don't worry about it. Yeah, I don't normally share too many photos, but I copied one to my iPad to show you. Why am I getting allergies? I took photos in this like these little this little forest area that turned out really beautiful. I know y'all love when I hold the iPad up to the phone. One thing I'm excited about with the visuals of this design, Lacrim sweater, which means to weep, to cry, because it's a very weepy color. This is the Westwool Glow Hair, which is their mohair base, and it's very comfy and cushy and warm. I was quite comfortable wearing this. And mohair can go either way. In the colorway Morgane, I believe. I think in my other videos calling it Morgana. I believe it's Morgane. And it is a weepy and sad kind of tealy blue-green that I vibe with. It's very much giving winter woods. It photographed a little bit bluer, I would say, in this picture than it is, and I need to tweak that. But one thing that I'm excited about with the visuals for this pattern is that I found this young, kind of cool graphic designer whose aesthetic I really liked on TikTok. And she just was posting her graphics and saying if anyone wants to collaborate on some graphics or a design project, please contact me. I just want experience. Like, I'll do it for free. And I sent her a message and I was like, I love your work and I would be happy to pay you to work with me on something using my pattern photography. And she like just outwardly refused to be paid. And I'm gonna get her these images tonight and then see what she does with them. But her like graphic and edit style is very dreamy and surreal and pretty, and I think it's gonna suit this design well. And if I like what she does, which I think I will try to pay her again. I think you should not. Maybe she's rich, I don't know, but I certainly don't. Like, if someone's trying to pay me for my labor, my creative work, the answer is always going to be yes. But that's sweet of her, and I'm really excited. I always just do everything myself, and I'm not that skilled as like a graphic designer. So it's really exciting to see what someone else is going to do who has their own creativity and skill set to bring to things. But I have plenty of photos that I love the way they turned out. If I just end up using the photos I took, that's also fine. So, what else to talk about? Oh my god, I'm actually quite chatty. And this video is already gonna be long, probably. Not too long, though. I love like 1 hour and 30 minutes is like to me that is such a long video, but it's in the sweet spot. Like when I do a video that's only an hour, I'm like, okay, some people are gonna be sad that it's only an hour. And then when it's 2 hours, I'm like, who has the time and the bandwidth? I have a couple of other things I might want to do today. I would like to go for a run. That's kind of typically, I have a new training schedule I've been using the past 3 weeks. And typically on Wednesdays, I do yoga at home and go for a run. Part of me wants to skip the yoga and just go for the run, but I'm going to try to hold myself to the yoga because I like doing yoga. And I do think it is certainly stretches me and like works my muscles in a way that is unique from any of the strength training I do at the gym. So it's really beneficial to not skip it. But let me talk about a few more finished objects. First of all, I have this pair of socks, which I was working on these for quite a while, so I probably did talk about them on one of my other videos. I think it's from Nomad Yarns, and it's like some kind of Christmas colorway. If you can't find it, I mean, I don't know if it's being dyed right now or not, But if you can't find it and you absolutely love these socks and you're desperate for them, leave a comment and I'll try to do better about figuring out what they are. I think as I am holding them like this, it's quite obvious that the socks are different sizes. I mean, they're different lengths. They're the same number of stitches, but I got this yarn from my favorite local yarn store called Jessie Mae Martinson's Apartment. And when I go to that yarn store, I'm allowed to take anything I want and it's always free. So that's why it's my favorite yarn store. And then I'm often bullied into casting on, usually a sock, as soon as I get the yarn while I'm in her apartment. And Jessie has been really into knitting socks for a few years now, and she knits a lot of self-striping socks. I mean, she also just buys a lot of self-striping yarn and has more than she can get through. So if I see a yarn, like a full ball of yarn that's self-striping, unless she already has like an intended plan for it, she'll let me take that. And she just is like, okay, try to leave me half and give it back when you're done. Because both of us can make a pair of socks with just, 50 grams is enough, especially if you're subbing out the toe and the heel. So I love doing that, and I love like trading yarns in that way. But then she also has a lot of remnants because she's already knit a pair of socks and still has somewhere between 40 and 60 grams left over that I can have. And this was one of those. It was one that came in 2 balls, and she had already knit a pair of socks out of them. And she said I could take the leftovers, and then she also helped me pick out from her stash this purpley blue that we used for the cuff, heel, and toe. And because she knits 2 at a time socks and it came in 2 balls, I didn't even question the balls. I just said, I have 2 even balls of remnants. I'm gonna just knit my socks toe up until I run out of yarn. And that's what I did. And I got through the stripe sequence perfectly. Like both of them ended with the orange stripe. And then I even wore these after I knit them. And then I photographed these and I put them on my Substack. And it wasn't until I washed these and then laid them out to dry for the first time that I was like, what's wrong with these socks? They're completely different sizes. Like they looked more similar to me before they got a wash, but after the wash, with just the stitches evening out and everything, it's like it couldn't be more obvious to me that they're different lengths. And I don't know how the hell Jessie Mae ended up with 1 stripe sequence less in only 1 of the 2 balls. Like I don't understand that. Like maybe she knit a swatch or something. Like I don't know. But it's kind of funny, and my initial reaction was like, that's funny. Oh well, like no one's really gonna notice. I'll leave them. But I've already felt myself, and I've noticed that when I'm picking out a pair of hand knit socks to wear for the day, and I love the way these look, I'm not reaching for these because I'm like, ugh, they're too quirky and weird to have 2 different lengths of socks. Even though once they're on, like you really wouldn't notice. You can't tell. Like when they get stretched around my leg, it probably equates to the difference of like 1 inch, It's not that much. But yeah, mentally, I'm just like, ugh, I don't really want to wear these. So I feel like I need to rip out the 1 additional stripe sequence on the longer sock. And it's a shame because I love the length of the longer sock more than I love the length of the shorter sock, right? But it's like I'm not wearing them. What do I do? Do I just get over it and wear them as is? Or should I pull them out and make them even? It feels so silly to do that. It's like a waste of my time. And it's a waste of the yarn. Because what am I going to do with the extra stripe yarn? Guys, so annoying. But it is so funny. And now I learned a lesson. Like, you need to be careful when you shop at Jessie Mae Martinson's yarn store, her apartment. It's like the price you pay for her generosity is that sometimes the mill gives you two different weights of yarn balls, and you should weigh them first. Let me just stay on the subject of socks for a second, because the same time that I went to the yarn shop at her house and got that yarn, I also got this yarn. So I've knit the first one of these socks, and this I truly don't know what it is. I think I asked Jessie if she knows what this yarn is, because I saw this and I just absolutely loved it. I like was so happy when she had half a ball left of this. And this, I feel like she was not completely sure, and I think she said she thought it might be something from Lang Yarns. And then I went on Lang Yarns' website to see if I could find this, and I didn't see anything quite like this, because it's like self-striping, where one color always stays the same in the stripes. Like, it's always a pink stripe, every other stripe, and then the other stripe is changing in a gradient. Like, it's so pretty and like painterly in a way that I love. And she had just not two balls, so there's no going wrong. There was only one ball, and it was just under, I want to say 50 grams, or maybe it was just a little bit over. I don't remember, but I like didn't, because of the way the colors looked on this, I didn't want to sub in a heel, toe, and cuff. I just wanted to use this yarn. So I did measure the yarn, I weighed the yarn and broke it into 2 even balls for me so I could maximize the yarn for 2 socks. And then I also did, I don't think I've ever done this before, mostly out of laziness, because I do really like it. I did the 2x2 ribbing all for the leg and not for any of the rest of the sock, but all the way up the leg, because I just felt like, I mean, it's gonna stretch out to be about the same, but I just feel like it gave me a little bit of a longer appearing leg than I would have gotten if I had just knit stockinette until I ran out, and then had like an awkwardly low placement for the start of the cuff if I did like a narrow cuff. And then here is my second sock, which I'm not really working on much at the moment. I need to, because I would like to have these and wear them. They're so pretty. And I like that they're going to be mismatched. They're really beautiful. I love this yarn. I will try to figure out what this yarn is one day. Or if you recognize this, please let me know if you have a yarn ID. And then since we're talking about socks, also notice that I put pumpkins here, because I bought these decorative pumpkins for my house for the fall, and they're pretty. So I'm like, I might as well put them in the frame for the video. But I'm not doing my Christmas tree this year because I have this pretty large couch in my pretty small living room, and there technically is still space, I think, for a tree in the same corner it went last year, but it would just be quite tight in a way that it wasn't last year. And I don't know, maybe it wouldn't fit. I got a pretty big tree last year. What to say? I am scouring Facebook Marketplace every day looking for a bookshelf. I currently have like a huge stack of books on my night table with no shelf anywhere in the house where I could put them. So I'm like, I really need a bookcase for this. It's like the only empty corner. It's not even empty. There's my spinning wheel on the ground, but the spinning wheel could move to the other wall or even go on top of the bookcase if it's not too tall. And a bookcase needs to go there. So that's the other reason I'm not putting up a tree, because any day now I hope I'll get a bookcase, and maybe I just end up ordering a new one. I don't know why. It's kind of hard to find one I like on Marketplace. Like, I really don't want a super cheap bookcase, because if you actually load them up with books, a cheap one is going to actually just like buckle and fall apart. So you need something, books are heavy. You need something somewhat solid. But it's also a big stress of figuring out how I'm going to get a bookcase up and into my 3rd floor apartment. It's like, do I try to get a friend to help me move it? Do I hire one person to come help me? Do I hire movers to do it completely for me? In which case, like, you're gonna spend a fair amount, because it just ends up taking, it's gonna take like at least an hour even though it's just one thing and like two people and their labor. So yeah, no Christmas tree, but I did put out, there's like this artificial holly or poinsettia or whatever, like garland over my door. I put this Christmas tree tinsel, like gold glitter star tinsel. I just draped it over the mirror in my entryway. I have like a Russian looking like Santa doll. It's actually right behind the camera. It's like sitting on the corner of my TV console. And then I have these dollar store decorations that are actually pretty cute. They're just like flat tinsel decor. Like it's a penguin, a Christmas tree, and a nutcracker man. And I have those on my piano. And I think that's probably the bulk of what I'll do for. Oh, I also have like a lantern. It's one of those like square lanterns that has like a Christmas scene inside, and then it's like a battery operated snow globe. You can also plug it in, but I didn't have any outlet space, and I don't even know what I did with the cord that plugs into that. I might have thrown it away. So I need to get batteries for that, but it's like you can set it on like a 24-hour timer, and then it goes for probably like 6 hours every 24 hours. But it like lights up and it glows the snow inside the snow globe. And I'd say you get a week of like really good light and energy from batteries, maybe 2 weeks. And then it's like kind of depleted and pathetic and you need to replace it. So that's the problem with that. It's like, I hate to be on top of freaking battery duty for a dumb decoration. um, You know what? I think I might have done it in elementary school once, but I really want to do it again. Is I want to do the clove oranges. I don't know if that's a Christmas thing or just a fall thing or a winter thing or what, but I want to do that where you take an orange and you take sharp little cloves and you stick them in the orange in a design and it smells really nice. I also have been envisioning since last summer when I got into origami for like 2 days. I relearned how to fold a paper crane, and I have some like brilliant foil shiny origami paper, and I think it would look really sweet and kind of Christmassy to do like a crane garland where I just make a crane and take some yarn and like tie a knot and thread the crane onto the yarn and tie another knot and have a bunch of cranes on a string of yarn. I bet there's some like really inventive tutorials that show how to do this in like a really good and aesthetically pleasing way. But I think my idea of how I would do it would work just fine. We'll see if I do either of those things, but those are my decor aspirations. And it's like I got all of these nice ornaments. Well, mostly I got cheap, crappy ornaments for my tree last year just to fill up the branches. But I got a few nice ones. And my mom also sent me probably 3 like beautiful ornaments. But what are you gonna do when you live in a itty bitty apartment? There's like I can't make space for a tree. I could get like a mini tree for my coffee table and just put my favorite ornaments on it. But that's not as fun as a big tree. But to be honest, I'm relieved I decided I'm not going to do a tree because it's a ton of effort. And then also it like starts to gnaw away at my soul to see it every day. I'm sure y'all get it, some of you. It just becomes like a lot, right? The amount of space it takes up and the amount of holiday cheer it adds into the apartment, like it gets old. Last year, I put my tree up before Halloween because Jessie May asked me to, and I'm a really amazing friend. And I said, okay, whatever you want. I'm drinking a Sprite Zero Winter Spiced Cranberry limited edition. They came out with the same flavor last winter, and I had it then too. So it's not that limited. Maybe it did go away, I guess. But I don't really like it that much. I didn't have a strong impression or memory of it from last year, and I like it well enough. I like almost any soda well enough. But this year, I think I paid a little bit more attention to what I'm actually tasting and did a little bit of introspection called, do I actually like this? And the answer is no, not really. I don't really love Diet Sprite. I love a normal Sprite, but I don't ever drink sugar soda. Um, I don't really love a cranberry. I guess I like cranberry sauce on my Thanksgiving plate, but that's different. It's not. I don't ever eat cranberries, and I don't know who does. So yeah, I don't know if this actually tastes like a cranberry, and I don't know. Like winter spiced is like kind of a strong. I feel like I should be tasting like cinnamon, clove, anise, like allspice kind of flavors. I'm not a great taster. Like, I can't identify flavors that well. I'm looking at the ingredients as if it's gonna say like cinnamon. Like, there's no way there's cinnamon in this. It's all just like flavoring. Not only is it flavoring, it's like the scariest sounding chemicals you could ever imagine. For like a month, I wasn't drinking any soda. I was drinking so much water just to be extra healthy and extra frugal. And then they did a sale on the sodas, and I got a bunch of them. Um, Still on the topic of socks. I had the idea when I was in the Ozarks to do a colorwork motif that was like a starry sky. And I made the motif while I was on that trip. And then when I got home, I went to the Drop Stitch in Andersonville. Really cute tiny yarn shop. If you get the chance, I recommend going. They've got a nice Noro selection, knitting for Olive. And I just got black yarn and white yarn. Oh my god, I've got stitches falling off the needles. That's just beautiful. It's exactly what I wanted on my black colorwork. So I started working on this colorwork sock, and like, I don't know. I find it really hard to get in the groove of knitting the colorwork. I don't find the technique necessarily like difficult, but like when I knit lace, it's so repetitive and it's just active enough to where I really get a rhythm going and I go for a long time. And I'm not that experienced in knitting colorwork, so that's one thing. Maybe if I were a better colorwork knitter, I would have a better rhythm and enjoy it more. But not loving working on this. But I'm gonna show you the motif, and please, if you see it and you just are like dying for it and you think it's a great idea or you think it's like really cute and you want me to keep going, please encourage me. But don't just do it because like just don't just do it because you like feel bad for me. Because honestly, if people aren't interested in this, then I'd be happy to not do it. But I think I should do it because I already have gone this far, which is not that far. But the other thing that makes it difficult to get into a rhythm is like some colorwork motifs are really repetitive and you can like learn them and you can see them just like when you get established in the pattern, you can look and know what to do next. This is like a huge chart. It's over 20 stitches and then it's like almost 40 rows long. And I've only gone like less than halfway through the chart once. So it's like I have to really look at the chart the whole time because it's not really intuitive. But let me give you a look at this dumbass sock. I also kind of regretted this yarn as soon as I bought it because it's like, it's really nice yarn. It's the Knitting for Olive, like fine merino or whatever it's called, or soft merino, something like that. But it is like jet black and stark white, and it's also like a little bit of like a light fingering. I think I'd like this better in like a more warm, natural white. And honestly, maybe not. I know like a black background with white contrast is very much night sky with stars, but it's a little bit too like on the nose. But it's like, I don't like knitting this, so I highly doubt I'm gonna want to get different yarns and do it again after I do it once. So I don't know why I'm saying all this. I could just imagine this motif being really cute if someone else does it in better colors. Like more like folky looking colors. Okay, I blathered about it for a long time. Now you can see it. Oh my God. I don't know how well this is showing up. The other thing is I'm doing it on double pointed needles because the chart repeats 3 times around the sock. And just to keep my chart repeat separate, it's so much easier to have it on double pointed needles, right? So I can have perfectly divided thirds of the sock, and I am a magic loop sock knitter through and through. I'm not a double point needle sock knitter. I don't use double pointed needles for like anything. I will do magic loop even on a 16-inch circular, which is not comfortable, but I'll do it just to like not have to change needles, and I'm fine with that. That's my socks. Should I keep going on that? The answer, I think, is yes. I really loved last year when I did rib socks, a sock pattern that I actually did love knitting and do love, and I think everyone should make. I loved coming out with that as a free pattern for a Christmas present to everyone. And then after Christmas, I sell it for like $3. So my thought is that maybe I do the same thing with this sock. It's like just have it be a gift for people and then make it really inexpensive after, because it's not gonna, I don't think, I mean, sure, you could have it be, there can be sizes. I was gonna say it was gonna be one size. There could be 3 sizes, but there'd be 20 stitches difference between each size. So it's like a lot of people who would be in between would need to figure out how to get the normal size, which is what I'm doing, which is 60 stitches, which is a very like middle of the road stitch count for a sock for a lot of people. That would work, or they could make it work with the right gauge, right? Anyway, I'm feeling very relaxed. That's my vibe right now. Too relaxed, as in I could just sit here and stop talking, but also not stop the video, but also not finish the video. Okay, thank God I'm finally done talking about knit socks. I can't believe anyone watches me talk about knit socks for that long. And the minutia of my thoughts on this soda. Sorry, I just imagine the way it sounds for me to sip when I have like this lavalier mic right here. Which also, I should wrap it up because, ooh, this is threatening to die. Ooh, I still have so much more to talk about. No, please. It was dead when I was gonna get started, and then I charged it for 20 minutes before I started the video, but I don't really want to force myself to go fast, and I'm very committed to this video because it's been a long time coming. So I'm gonna try to keep an eye on this. It is gonna be annoying to me that I'm gonna have to like keep looking down to make sure that this is not dead yet. Hopefully it lasts. Like maybe the red light means you have 1 more hour. I doubt it. But if it dies, then I'm gonna go stop the video, charge it for another 20 minutes, and then continue the video. Because I'm relying on my big light over here anyway. It's completely dark outside at this point. My other whips. Uh, one thing that happened, oh my God. One thing that happened since the last time I recorded, so my favorite things of the year, I've gone 2 times now to the Wisconsin Sheep and Wool Festival, which I think was in September. And it's like my favorite I haven't gone to a lot of yarn festivals necessarily. A fair number, but like, I don't know. I've never been to Rhinebeck, I've never been to Maryland Sheep and Wool. Like, there's a lot of really beautiful festivals I haven't been to. But of the ones that I have been to, Wisconsin Sheep and Wool is my favorite. A lot of the other festivals I've been to are more in urban environments where they're in convention centers or like large exhibitor halls, and they tend to attract more like indie dyer small businesses, which I love, but I get really excited by the vendors who show up to Wisconsin Sheep and Wool, which are also small businesses, but they're more like farms, a lot of them, who mill yarns from their flocks, and you just get such like unique yarns. Like, a lot of these people are less online. That's the thing. When I go to a yarn festival that has a bunch of like indie dyers, is really nice to see all that in person. But a lot of the people who are doing that yarn are really good about like having beautiful, high quality photographs on the internet and like big online presences, or I can see and shop their stuff. A lot of these vendors are, they don't sell online. So it's like, this is the one time a year at Wisconsin Sheep and Wool where you can go see some of this stuff. And a lot of it is like, hi, all of our collective worst fears imaginable happened, which was that my microphone died, as we knew it would. I am back though, and did I charge it for that long? No. Maybe I charged it for, I think that had to be at least 15 minutes, but it probably was a solid 20 minutes, which is how much I think I charged it for last time, and that got me through over an hour. But I'm gonna be good. Hopefully this doesn't die again while recording. I don't think I'll go for over another hour, but I'm gonna be good and charge these as soon as I'm done recording so that they are ready for the next time, which will be sooner rather than later. I was talking about Wisconsin Sheep and Wool and how a lot of the vendors there are selling yarns and fibers from their flocks, from their farms, and many of them do not sell online. Many of them are hardly online at all. So it's like, this is your chance to get it. And I don't know how much got cut out, but I was talking also about how there's something to that, about there's a uniqueness to a lot of the products there that I think are partially because a lot of those vendors are not so online and not connected and not seeing the same stuff the rest of us are seeing. So that's exciting. And I had one main regret last year at Wisconsin Sheep of Wool, which was not buying a sweaters quantity from this very small booth with one older woman working there selling this rare breed sheep yarn from her own flock. And I was hoping she'd be there again, and she was. And I was there on Sunday, so it was the last day of the festival. And she had sold a lot, which is great. So I didn't have first choice. Like, I was really hoping for just one solid color sweaters quantity in like blue or green. And she didn't have it. And I was about to commit to a sweaters quantity of a color I didn't really like as much. And then I was like, you know what? She has some blue and she has some green. Let me just get what'll probably be enough to do a striped sweater. And that is what I got. You know, it's kind of a nice thing. I had to stop and charge my mics for 20 minutes because I had forgotten to grab this yarn. And then I was like, well, I guess I can go get this yarn now. So here are the Finnish landrace wool. That's Finnish, like the country. Landrace, Landrace. And will I knit these anytime soon? Probably not, but a girl can dream. I would love if I made my sweater before next year's festival, and then I can buy another sweater's quantity and do it again, right? I should just knit something simple. I could knit one of my basic drop sleeve sweaters in stripes, or I could knit like a basic raglan, anything. That's that. The main reason I wanted to talk about Wisconsin sheep and wool is that I always see lots of, there's more than just yarn. There's a ton of fiber and like other textile art tools and materials. And let me just make sure this is alive. I get very inspired by all the beautiful spindles and by seeing people in person and online who are prolific spindle spinners. And I know that I really don't particularly enjoy spinning on a spindle, but when I see it, I think that that is a flaw of mine to be fixed rather than something to just accept. So the farmy and fibery, lovely environment of Wisconsin sheep and wool just clouded my judgment. And I bought a drop spindle, an expensive drop spindle. Here's my drop spindle. It's got yarn on it. I'm doing it. You know what? I can spin a little bit right now. Not doing a very good job, but that's not really the point when I spin. For like 2 weeks after I bought this, I was doing a little bit of spinning in bed every night before sleep, and that did not last. um, but you know what? I enjoyed what I did get done. Talking about it now is making me want to get back to it. I wish I was ready with the name of the craftsman who made this spindle, but you know what? I'm sorry I'm not ready with that information, but I did write about this spindle. I wrote a whole little essay about buying this spindle and my aspirations of being a spindle spinner on my Substack. So if you look for the article on my Substack about spindle spinning, it has the information on this spindle, including the craftsman and the materials he used, because it's a interesting, like it's like poison blackwood or something like that that he used. But I'll give you a better look at the whirl. And then I picked up this fiber. I also don't know the name of this vendor. They're always at the festival. They have a big booth with a lot of fibers that they mill. And they sell in 8-ounce balls, which is kind of a lot. But I already spun 2 ounces. Here's my 2-ounce single. And I'm probably at least halfway through the second half of my, what will be I'm intending to be a bulky weight 2-ply yarn that I will also ply on the spindle. And I'm going to do it, okay? Maybe. What else is there to talk about? That was Wisconsin sheep and wool. If you ever get the chance, it's just, I love that festival. I can't wait to go my 3rd time next year. Honestly, one day is almost not enough. There's also classes and demos and events and stuff. I never do any of that. I just go and shop. But I'd be open to doing that stuff. I don't think I'll go multiple days, but I do think me and my crew, we all felt rushed this year going only. We showed up a few hours after they opened on the last day, and we shopped until they closed. And we felt a little bit like, ugh. Like, okay, we kind of had to acknowledge at the end that there were a couple things we forgot to go see, because like the bulk of the vendors are in 2 halls, and we did go through both of those halls several times to like make up our minds and everything. But then they usually have a few vendors tucked away in some of the other halls in smaller groups. And I got some yarn I really loved in one of those small rooms last year, and this year we didn't even look at any of those. So I'll try to go on Friday next year if possible and get there when they open. Okay, so here's interesting whip. I don't do this often. Maybe this is the kind of thing I should do more often. But first I saw a beautiful, first actually, I'm wearing my Pinta Pillar pullover in the checkerboard version, which if you don't know, this is one of my modular designs. So all of this checkerboard is knit without no intarsia, no stranded color work. You're literally just knitting scarves. If you can knit a scarf and change colors every 20 rows or whatever it is, you can knit this. The way they come together is through the modular join as you go technique. So there's also not hours of seaming at the end. You're not like knitting all of these separately and then putting them together after the fact. You knit one and the second one just gets knit directly onto the side edge of the first one through magic. So that is this pattern. I did 2 samples for this pattern, which I don't usually do. It's a lot of work because I wanted one sample where you just used one color changing color of Noro and knit your 5 pillars, and that's it. But then I knew you could do this cool checkerboard technique just by changing colors, so I wanted a second sample with the checkerboard technique to show people both versions and give both options. And I've always loved my checkerboard version, which is Noro Tasso Gare and some mohair, some black mohair, maybe. I have no idea. Maybe like Rowan or Debbie Bliss or something like that. And I just think this is one of the coolest things I've knit. I love to wear it. I love that I came up with it. It's such an easy way to do a checkerboard, which is often kind of an annoying thing to be dealing with, like intarsia, right? A checkerboard of this size would typically be intarsia, which, yeah, it's just not like... This is something you could do on the go. Intarsia on the go, forget about it. It's annoying. But my first sample that I did of this pattern without the checkerboard, I did in Noro Silk Garden sock, which I love to knit at a worsted gauge. And I didn't do the checkerboard. I didn't change colors. It's like the simplest way to knit this pattern. And I just never wore this. I never liked it. I think my main issue with it was that I knit the sleeves. First of all, I actually don't wear knit tees a ton. Even this one that I love, I don't wear it a ton, mostly just because I think I could wear it more, but I tend to go from like button-down shirts in the warm weather, and then as soon as it starts to get cold, I just start wearing sweaters, you know? I don't usually take advantage as much of that transitional period where I would want a short sleeve wool garment, though this is quite comfortable to wear around my house. I could wear a layer under this, like a long sleeve tee under this, or a jacket over this, and it's totally comfortable even in like 40 degrees, right? So I love this, so I should be wearing it more. But it's not just that I don't wear a ton of knit tees. I also just never really liked how this looked on me. I think I knit the sleeves an awkwardly long length. And I also knit them without shaping just because, I don't know, I wanted to keep it really simple. And I think I learned that, well, I don't know, these sleeves don't have shaping and they don't annoy me. But I also think these sleeves are shorter. But I think this length of sleeve without shaping is kind of bizarro, on me at least. And just like I said, I had something in mind of like an oversized short sleeve when I chose this, and it just doesn't give what I really wanted it to give. So I never wear it. I think it looks dorky. And then I saw on Instagram, a few people have like knit this pattern and made it long sleeve. That's always the whole point of like designing a tee sweater. It's like you could just add long sleeves if you want long sleeves. But I saw a new version of this on Instagram that I thought was so beautiful from Hemini. It's like HEM.INI. I thought that was so pretty, and it just made me love this pattern again. And she knit hers with full sleeves, and then she also She took the modular strip technique and applied it to the sleeves as well, which when I did the short checkerboard sleeve, there are instructions for this in the pattern, but you don't do any modular. It's just like you have one extra strip that changes colors. And then you seam it on. Just there's a simplicity to that, to doing it that way. But to do like a long sleeve with long strips and still have the colors be changing, you know, to knit it this way, because that's the thing with the short sleeve that changes colors. It's knit in the same direction as the body. It's not knit in the direction of a traditional sleeve, right? I don't know if you follow or not. This knitter took the pillar motif with the modular technique and applied it to a long sleeve style, which I think is really beautiful. And it just made me think about this one, which I love these colors. And I put this on again and I was like, damn, I really do love these colors and I should be wearing this. So I was like, I just need to knit long sleeves. And I think I'm gonna really start wearing this a bunch, make it into a proper sweater. So last night I unpicked the first ribbing and I had, this is about 85 grams of this yarn that I had. And I'm hoping it's gonna be enough. If not, I could probably find another ball of this somewhere to order, but I have some other one-off random colorways of Silk Garden sock in my stash. And honestly, for a sweater I'm not even wearing now, like I'm totally down to just have the second sleeve be half in this color and half in a different color. And honestly, I might like it. It might be cool. So I may do that. That's what I'm leaning towards if this is not enough. But I do have, like, the sleeves are decently long to begin with. They're like probably 8 inches. So it's not like I'm gonna have to knit them so much longer, I don't think, but we'll see. I do like my sleeves pretty long. I'm adding in some decreases as I go, but not a lot. Like I'm just gonna decrease every 10th round. I don't really even want you to be able to see it, but it still just makes a difference in the way that it lays, I think, if they're there. So I considered doing the strips like the Instagram knitter I just showed you, and because I think it's very beautiful, but it's more work. Because you're picking up stitches in a way, it also kind of uses a little bit extra yarn when I'm kind of worried about running out of yarn. And then last of all, for me to do that, I would need to fully remove the sleeve. And it's like, it's so seldom that I like make the time to do a project like this, which is like not for a new design. It's just for my own, the sake of my wardrobe, like altering something that it's like, okay, it's a miracle I'm even doing this. I'm not gonna make it extra work by having to undo 8 inches of sleeve. So I wanna keep the sleeve that's there and just elongate them. So I'm not doing the pillars, though I do think they're very beautiful. So that's one of my whips right now. And then similarly, I've taken it out to show you and try to hold myself to it. Another sweater I've made recently that I have worn a few times already is my DK basic drop sleeve sweater that I'm just noticing I'm not really wearing, or like every time I've worn it, it's annoying me. The sleeves are just a little bit too short. They're like almost like bracelet length. And I think I'm realizing I really don't like that. I like a sleeve that's like knuckle length, right? Um, yeah. So I love the drapiness of this sweater. This is one of the sweaters though. I mean, it's kind of all my sweaters, low key, unfortunately, that I'm putting it on and like there's something about it where I'm like, I feel like it makes me look frumpy and dumpy in a way that I never used to feel about my hand knits, and I hate that. But I feel like that is like a mental thing more than how I actually look, and I acknowledge that, but it's still hard to shake, like feeling like a piece of clothing is not flattering on you, which some people like really hate that word. So I don't use it to describe my designs generally for other people or to describe anything for others. But to talk about my own clothes for myself, yes, I feel like sometimes I put something on and I'm like, that is not flattering in the way I would like it to be. Um, I don't have too much of this yarn left. I had a whole ball of it, which this only used like 2 balls, I feel like. Went a long way because they're like 200-gram balls. And it's a fingering weight yarn that I knit at a DK weight gauge. But I have some remnants, and I think it's going to be enough to get the sleeves to the length that I want. So yeah, maybe after I finish fixing my Pinta pullover, I'll undo the cuff on this. And honestly, I'd probably like to add a good 3-4 inches to each sleeve on this. Well, and I sort of feel like when I was knitting this, I might have knit the sleeves really long, ripped some of it out, and then ultimately made them too short. So that's life, okay? And I certainly don't do this often, but I would like to do this more. And I encourage you, if you're like me, to try to do the same. If you have, um, especially like hand knits that you spent so much time and money on that are precious, but like if there's just something small about it that is like off in a way that you don't think looks very nice or that you don't feel good wearing it that you could fix, then you should. So yeah, shorten or lengthen your body, your sleeves. I often see just someone's collar, I feel like needs to be redone, especially when it's like almost all my patterns, the collars are applied at the end because you gain a lot of control by having it be applied. Some people don't like it because they're like, it adds a step where they could have just started with a collar on a top-down garment. But I'm always like, no, it's like so worth it to me because to me the collar makes a gigantic difference on the finished look of the garment. So I always want to be able to get it just right. And that's something I like frequently redo. On this Lacrim, the lace mohair sweater I showed earlier, show it again. I I ripped out my bind off on this collar when I finished the sweater because I did the bind off too loose and the neckline was too open. So I knit more rows and then I bound off tighter and now I'm really happy with it. So I will frequently redo stuff like that as I'm finishing the knitting process. But then if I call it done and start wearing it and there's still something I don't like, that's when sometimes I'm really uh, hesitant to make work for myself and redo something. But yeah, I want to like what I make and I want to wear what I make. So if there's tweaks I can make to do that, then I'm going to do it. So what else is there to talk about? I want to just talk briefly about my next design that I want to work on. Oh, also here's some yarn that I bought in Texas. It's like a self-striping neon rainbow yarn. Can't go wrong with that. I don't know. I think I might want to do rib socks in these actually. The color is rainbow. Hand dyed in Texas by Dyon Yarns, like Dyeon Yarns. And I bought this at the Quilt Festival actually. It's usually like 2 to 3 booths at the Quilt Festival vendor hall that are either yarn shops or shops that sell some yarn. Mostly it's quilting stuff and sewing machines and fabrics and quilting kits. But next I'll talk about my upcoming design I want to do, which is my first scrappy project. I've always loved the scrappy designs that Park does, and that's actually how I found her, as I saw her Roy G. Biv and her Aqua Marlene on Instagram on my Explore page many years ago, and I just followed her and commented instantly, and that started our friendship. So I go way back with this scrappy technique, and I've always loved the way she does it, and I've always been inspired by it and wanted to do it, and I knit up a swatch using her technique of holding together I usually was holding together 3 or 4 yarns at a time. And it just gives you the so much control for beautiful textures and really, really beautiful colors and gradients. So I want to do a black, pinky red, blue, green gradient. And the concept will be knit side to side, another type of construction I love to design, and knit side to side, stockinette stitch, V-neck, bulky weight cardigan. And I have a little bit of anxiety about sitting down to write the pattern. I'm not particularly in the mood for that. However, I am in the mood to knit it. So I just need to tough it out and get it done, and then I can start knitting. So that is my big exciting design idea. Always keep your eye on like my newsletter, or more than anything, for if this is something you might want to test knit, keep your eye on my Instagram story in the next 6 weeks. I hope I could have this out into testing, would be great. 4 weeks, even better, but we'll see. We'll see if it happens at all, okay? Life happens, okay? Because I don't necessarily want to do this for my birthday design. I'd like this to come out, and the lace Lacrim sweater will come out in January. I'd like this cardigan to come out in February or March, and then I'll do a birthday design for April. So I need to, if I'm gonna do this, I need to hurry up and do it, because I don't want to be feeling stressed or rushed about my birthday design. My birthday design, I want to do in Ritual Dye's Undine Decay, which I've never designed in, but I've been waiting to. And I have the yarn for it. And if you watched, I did a live with Ritual Dyes. You can actually go back and still watch it if you want, for their Undine make-along this past summer. I did a live that's posted on mine and their Instagram pages. Um, it's like a half hour. It's fun. But I showed some swatches and talked about some techniques that I want to use for a potential birthday design idea, and they jumped on it. They're so funny. They like, I was just like, this is just something I'm thinking about, like maybe I'll do this for my birthday this year. And they just immediately like sent me the yarn for it, which if I owned a yarn business, I'd be the same way. I'd be like, oh, say less, like please do your birthday design in my yarn. But thank you for that, Ritual Dyes. They're always very generous. Plus I love their summer yarns. Their Undine and Undine DK. They're just a joy to knit with and a joy to wear. I love my dappled lace raglan in the Undine. Can you believe I knit dappled lace raglan 3 times? That might be the most I have knit any of my designs, and I would knit it again. I knit one for me, I knit one for my friend Anna, and then we modeled them together. I did the long sleeve and she did the short sleeve, and I did both of them in Undine. And then I did a cowl for that pattern because a lot of people purchased that pattern. People were excited about it, so I was like, let's do a knit along so people actually knit it. And I knit it a third time, and I did it in all silk, and that's my like really shiny like sky blue one, which I also love. I don't wear it all the time. It's kind of like a special occasion sweater, honestly. Like it's so beautiful, and it's also like it's kind of fragile. Single ply silk, it, like could pill easily. So I would knit it again. I would love to have that in wool, actually, but really, I'm always like, okay, no, I should design a new lace garment, like I just did this one. I would love to do a new lace raglan. I haven't done a raglan in a while, and now I think I'm scared to do it again because it's definitely a little harder than doing a drop sleeve design. But I've done mini raglans. I know I can do them. They're always just like, they're a little bit more of a puzzle when you're doing the grading. There's more variables that need to be satisfied, at least in the way I work, than when I do a drop sleeve. Um, Okay, I think I can be done talking about knitting. Yay! Um, the topic you all came here to hear me talk about, I presume. I was being very diligent with jewelry a couple of weeks ago. I was splitting my time evenly, like every day. I was doing like 4 hours of jewelry and then like a few hours of knitting every day. Uh, and right now, I've kind of put jewelry on the back burner because I've been busy. I went to Peoria last weekend and did 2 concerts there. I have been putting off this video. I've had photography to do, a million excuses. So jewelry is taking a break for the past week and a half. But I have a bunch of works in progress waiting for me. They're totally like in the middle. I just need to sit down, and I could sit down and like finish 2 of them probably in like a couple of hours or something. But I had like started a batch of jewelry projects. Like I took out like 12 stones and started making bezels for all of them. And then I made all the bezels, and then I've been one by one finishing them from there. And I actually finished 3 of them, but one of them I was not happy with, and I'll redo it. And then I have 2 here that I've finished and I think turned out nicely, both with pretty large opals. So my repertoire of design capabilities increases again, which is exciting, as I have made my first ever pendant with a bail. Isn't that pretty? I don't know how much you're getting the rainbow sparkle, but this is a huge Ethiopian opal. I kind of reasoned out how much I wanted to charge for this. So let me think before I say it on video, but I'm pretty sure this is gonna be listed at $180, which most of that cost is the stone. This is almost a 10 carat cabochon, so uh, it costs. And yeah, the design of it couldn't be simpler. It's like your most simple basic pendant, but it's my first one, so I just wanted to kind of figure out the shapes of a pendant, how to make a bail, which I was quite proud of myself. I figured out this bail just by like thinking about like, okay, how does a bail look? Okay, I think I can do this. Like I didn't really need to make a tutorial. And then there's certain things that I wonder, I'm like, is that how other people do it or just me? But what I did works. And then another opal piece done is this beautiful large ring. I can see kind of in the reflection of my TV behind the camera that I think I'm in the center of the frame. And I hope you're getting the rainbow flash. Hope it's not washed out by this light. But this is a little small on me. I probably wouldn't really wear this day to day. Yeah, and my fingers are slightly fat right now. So it's not going to go on all the way. But I believe this is a size 7.5. And I think this is going to be priced at, what was I doing this one for? I think this one's going to go for 140. Not bad. Expect a little jewelry update soon. I really should buckle down and focus and make, it'd be nice to put out, and I think I will put out maybe a few pre-order options soon. That could be a good project for me to do within the next 1 week. Just so like, I'm not necessarily expecting a large like Christmas rush, nor do I have the capability to like make tons of pieces, but I want to put out, there's a couple of things that are ready to go and for sale on the website right now, but not much. There's just 2 rings and they're both more expensive. So I want to have more at like a wider range of prices. And then I also want to have at least a few pre-order styles for people to pick sizes for rings. Just in case anyone does want to get something for Christmas, it needs to be soon, right? Especially if they're pre-orders, then I need to make them. But I would not put up anything that's not something like simple that I could do quickly. Yay, my mic is still alive. That's my jewelry update. Oh my gosh. This one of the other rings that's still for sale. I wish, I mean, it actually does fit me nicely as a pinky ring. I just don't know. Here, I'll show you both of them. The pinky ring, I love that stone so much. And then the huge ring on my middle finger, I also love. It's like it's like art jewelry. It's like an art object. It is kind of wild as a design, as a piece of jewelry. It's quite large. Both of these are available and for sale, but they are both more expensive pieces, larger stones, more like technique involved. But this ring on my pinky is the stone is so glowy and pretty, and it's also just like so my style. I would wear it as a pinky ring, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not making stuff for myself much. But with all the things I do, I don't have so much time to devote to jewelry, and I really want to focus on like improving and honing my stuff and also getting it out to any customers who are interested in owning a piece of J&W jewelry. I also like making stuff for my friends. So, yes, I am not just making stuff for myself, though I wish I were. Um, Keep your eye out if you're looking for more jewelries, more styles, more colors, more prices. There will be a few more options coming up soon. I have been kind of off and on into reading. I've been good this week about getting back into the groove of like a reading habit. And I need to be because the book I'm working on is pretty thick. But since the last time I recorded, I read the first book of the Poppy War trilogy, and now I'm on the second book. The first book is the Poppy War. This is The Dragon Republic, which is the second book of the trilogy by R.F. Kuang. I really loved the first book, and I found it so gripping and like also easy to read. Like I did not want to put it down. At the same time, I felt a little bit like I was reading something that just sort of felt like poppy, like a bestseller. Like it felt like a really easy read, which was nice. I liked that about it. It made me read it quickly and be able to like follow the story super easily, right? Um, but it wasn't like super groundbreaking. The writing wasn't like so gorgeous or lyrical to me. It was just like normal, but well written in that it's exciting and it's fun and you want to keep going. And the second book, I don't know if it's me or the book, is not gripping me as much as the first one was, but I'm still enjoying it. And I also think I was seeing myself get to points of action last night where I was like, okay, yeah, I want to keep turning the page. Yes. I don't know what I'll read next. I just was like looking for recommendations and came across a series. What was it? It's like the Roxgura or something like that by like what's her name? Like something Wells. Um I feel like she's a famous author. Anyway, maybe you know what I'm talking about, maybe you don't. But it's like another fantasy series I want to try next. I think I'll go to something else rather than go straight to book three. Unless I finish this and I'm like ravenous for book three, which maybe I will be, which if so, that'd be great because that's an exciting feeling. But otherwise, I think I'll probably read some other stuff and then come back to book three. I also bought a really beautiful, like, hard copy of Dune, which I had listened to on audiobook like earlier this year, I guess. And I loved the audiobook. It's actually the best audiobook I've ever listened to as far as like the acting was really good. A lot of good voice actors and interesting voices and dialects, and also like just generally the production value of it. Like there were some parts that kind of like had music or sound effects just to a small degree. And I don't know how the audiobook community feels about stuff like that. It was different, but I liked it. and it elevated the experience for me. I was very excited listening to that. Um, and yeah, I want to read the physical book after enjoying the audiobook so much. So I have a beautiful, like, fancy Barnes and Noble hardcover edition with, like, the little tassel bookmark and gold leaf edged pages and nice illustrations on the covers and stuff. So that's exciting. Maybe I'll read that next. Uh, I have been actually more into gaming recently than I have been in probably like over a year. I don't know when the last, honestly, the last time that I feel like I was this into gaming was like the tail end, like the last few months that I lived in Croatia. I was heavily into Elden Ring. And I got that out of my system. But I've been heavily back into Stardew Valley, which I've been playing for almost 10 years. I've been playing it since it came out. But really, since I started my like first farm ever back in the day, I feel like this is the only the second time I've started a solo farm where I've put this much time and effort into it. Because I'm already like 80 hours into this farm, which um, I started it like around the time I was in Florida. Because when we were in Florida, we started a group farm with the four of us who were on that trip, which we had some really beautiful ideas that we were going to continue playing as a group on that farm after our trip. But like we all have different schedules, and we also all maybe are playing if we're gaming, which not all of us are gaming at any given time in our lives, or maybe we're into other things or doing our own thing. So yeah, it's a lot to like coordinate four people doing co-op on Stardew Valley, but it was really fun even just for like the first couple of months of the game. While on our trip, we got really into it, but it got me just back into Stardew Valley in a way that I haven't been in a long time. So yeah, I started my own farm. It's going well. I just finished year two. Grandpa's very happy. I married Harvey the doctor, who I've never. He's always been like the bachelor I'm the least interested in by far. But I think I've matured in my life, and it's changed the way I view the men in the game because he's like the older bachelor, and the rest of them are very like young coded. They all seem kind of like 19, 20, 21 to me. He seems more like in his late 30s. And more than anything, he's the doctor in the game, and I'm like, yeah, I would want to marry the one who has money. He's also like a dork. He's like cute. He just is like into planes, even though he's scared of heights. He's into his health. In the game, there's no monetary advantage to marrying any of the given bachelors, but just in my head canon, I'm like, oh yeah, a doctor will add to my financial security. So that's Stardew Valley. Um, but I don't know. I can feel myself like waning a little bit. I've actually never like fully done the island portion of the game. I've never gotten perfection on a game, and they've added so much late game content that I haven't really explored. So I do want to get to that, but also I'm not someone who puts I don't know if I've ever put like 300 hours into any single game. That's just not me. Whereas many gamers have games they've put like 1,000 hours into. I tend to for like the games that I love more than anything, I usually am not going much more than like 100 hours of playtime before I just am like, all right, like I'm bored. So I'm getting there with Stardew Valley being above 80 hours. I can feel myself when I pick up my Switch. I'm like, maybe I should knit or play something else. Certainly, being so into video games is not good for my reading habit or my knitting and productivity, because knitting is something I could be doing around bedtime to wind down. But at the same time, I don't need to feel like everything I'm doing is productive all the time. And I also don't really feel like I don't feel bad
Sometimes I naturally do feel bad when I pick up a video game because I'm like, oh, I'm really wasting my time. And right now, I don't know. I just don't, and I don't think I need to. Uh, yeah, it's nice to do something that is so purely for leisure. Um, I'm on a really kind of strict exercise plan, which I just November marks my 3-year anniversary of like getting really serious about working out. And I like for me there's no looking back. I love this. It's my lifestyle. I like the way it makes me feel. My sleep has never been better, but definitely there have been times where I'm really motivated and have goals, and times where it's just like maintenance and also just part of my routine and it's kind of thoughtless. And I just sort of go through the motions or do really simple workouts where I'm not being challenged and I'm not doing too much. And that's fine. But then there comes a time where I'm like, okay, why am I going to the gym all the time? Is there something I'm not happy with, like that I could achieve through strength training? Like, what are my goals? So I kind of checked in again and made a new plan that is a little bit more uh, high volume, which is fine. 'Cause like I said, I've been taking it easy for like months. It's also kind of similar to what I did last year because I don't go to the gym as much when I'm traveling, and then also in the summer when I can swim in the lake frequently. I like to go for a swim, and I'm usually not gonna go for a swim and go to the gym in one day. Uh, and I also like to run outside. But yeah, now it's cold and dark. I'm not swimming anymore. I really chickened out this year on the cold water swimming. This was around the time last year that I stopped swimming outside. And this year, my last swim was probably like early or mid October, so like a full month earlier. Oops. I don't know. I didn't have it in me. I didn't feel like I needed to be in the freezing water, so I didn't. Um, My training schedule right now, though, it is 6 days a week, and that's a lot. That's kind of like the first year that I went to the gym, maybe even the first almost 2 years of going to the gym was kind of like that. It's like I just trained every day practically, and I loved it. Uh, I am really enjoying it now as it's just something new. It's like new exercises, a new program, a new approach. But it does take a lot of my time. And like I was saying earlier, it's really exhausting. Like I tend to work through my mornings until around lunchtime. And then I like to have lunch and go to the gym. And often I do have some aspirations to do even like an additional, like just maybe 2 hours of work in the early evening before dinner or something. And I'm just like I come home and I'm like I can't do anything other than relax. So, yeah, like I always say, like I don't understand how people work 9 to 5 and go to the gym like every day. I don't see. I mean, granted, they're probably not trying to be productive after the gym, but just after a really long work day, if I then did a workout, I I would not be able to like cook or like do a good job feeding myself or like cleaning the house or like doing chores and stuff. Something's got to give. I feel like it's really hard. So props to those people. Um, Music is going well. I just had some Baroque concerts in Peoria Symphony, which I love that music. It was an all Handel concert. We do it in a beautiful cathedral in downtown Peoria called St. Mary's. It's got this like gorgeous cobalt blue ceiling with stars all over. It's so pretty. And then um, next month I'll have another Peoria concert, probably like December 19th, I want to say. It's like a Friday, I imagine. And then I'll have recorder concert on that Sunday. Maybe it's like the 21st, I think. if you're in the Chicago area and you want to come to my recorder concert, it's totally free. It's at St. John's Episcopal in Old Irving Park on the, I guess it's the third Sunday of December. It's like the Sunday right before Christmas. And it's at 2 p.m. at the church. I'll put more details at some point on my Instagram story, or like if you have any questions, you can leave a comment. I'll answer. But maybe you think it's weird that I would invite you as a stranger, or you would feel weird showing up. But if you're at all interested in seeing a recorder concert in the city that's free, and it's like really, it's a very casual atmosphere for those concerts with a little reception after. I don't think it's weird at all, and I wish I had people to see me at my performances all the time. I'm totally fine like knowing that there's no one, I don't invite anyone and there's no one around to come to my concerts in Peoria. But I would like it if there were. And in general, that's how I feel about any of my performances. It's like, oh, the more the merrier. I love to know people are there to support me. Also, tell me if you're gonna come, I guess. Or don't. You can surprise me. You can just come up to me after and be like, I came from your YouTube. Um, I always want to be better about like doing more arts and crafts just for fun. Uh, and especially like I have these huge dreams of getting really good at drawing and like other art, more purely artistic mediums like coloring. And I don't know necessarily that I want to paint, maybe like gouache or whatever it's called, gouache, um, which I don't know how to use, but it's something I'd like to learn. But yeah, I always am like, I want to draw more, you learn to use pen and pencil, pastel, crayons, colored pencils. Um, but I don't do it that often. It's like everything. It's like a little bit scary. Um, if you haven't done it in a while and you don't feel like you're that good at it. But I did do two drawings recently. I did this creepy pencil drawing that was inspired by some religious art that I saw in the church in Peoria. Um, it's me playing the violin as pigeons put a crown on my head, and then I've got some sort of little freak blessing me through the cathedral window, and then I've got a supplicant praying to me down here. And then I did out of a bunch of like different mediums. Like I had some pens, some color pencil, some crayons, some pastel. I did this drawing of me in my what's it called? My polar star hat, which I love. If you didn't see the reel I did on Instagram for this hat, you should go watch the reel I just put out last week because it was very cute. It was on the first snow day in Chicago, so I went out and took advantage of all the fresh, powdery white snowfall and did like a really cute video about this hat. This drawing is fine. I'm tempted to. I almost want to do like a series of drawings of me in this hat. We'll see if it happens. But it's like, I think I could do better and do one that I like even more. But I do like this one. And I'm like, should I post this on my grid on Instagram? It feels very embarrassing, which I know it's silly because it's like, I don't have to it doesn't have to be a masterpiece for me to share it. But you still feel like sharing like a piece of visual art that you did, especially when it's not really your skill set or your forte or your what you're experienced with. It is like vulnerable, and I just would not help but feel that people are making fun of it or like laughing at it behind my back. But that's okay. Like I have always had the sense that people are probably laughing at me or making fun of me behind my back for like everything I do my entire life, and that's probably true. And that it doesn't really, it bothers me if I think about it too much, but it doesn't really bother me because like, okay, they're on some hater shit, right? uh Whereas I'm just a literal angel living my life, and at least I'm drawing. Okay, I don't know, I feel like so many people, they want to do stuff, they want to knit, they want to draw, they want to like play an instrument, and they're just like too scared. So I'm always I try to encourage people no matter what it is. Here's another drawing that I never showed that actually is gouache paint, like really cheap gouache that I bought about a year ago. I kept seeing people talk about it on TikTok shop. I bought it, I don't know. I don't think I bought it on TikTok. I just bought it online somewhere. But it was the Hemi gouache, and I did this. I used to always do self portraits in like alien like colors. And I really didn't like this that much when I did it, but now that I'm looking at it a year later, I'm like, no, I actually like that a lot. And especially for my first time using those materials, it's really not bad. But it was like a lot to be dealing with like wet paint that I don't, it's like water soluble. It's like something between like a paint and a watercolor, and I don't know the techniques, and it's also like a lot to have that palette out. So I just used it once and put it away with the rest of my art supplies and never opened it again. And then I took it out recently because I was like, maybe I'll use the gouache on the other picture I just showed you. But then when I opened the palette, one of the colors was covered in mold, and they were all really dried out and cracked. And I know they could be rehydrated, but just the fact that one of them was moldy, and also, I mean, it wasn't cheap because it was a lot of colors. It was probably like $40 or $50, but it also wasn't that expensive. Like they're definitely low quality materials for an artist. So I just cut my losses. I was like, I can't deal with moldy paint. I'm just gonna throw this away. So I threw it away. And if I decide to explore that medium again, I'll buy slightly higher quality and I'll buy tubes, because just having them out in a palette like that, yeah, of course they're gonna dry out or get moldy. It's gross. So that's it for my art. I just spotted one other knit that I grabbed, and it's like I did it so long ago, but I'm pretty sure I never talked about it. And I did it, so the least I could do is talk about it. I did talk about it on Instagram, but I don't think I ever talked about it on YouTube. And that is this bag that oh my God, my spindle. That is this bag that I knit, which just looks like stupid. It looks like a dildo. It looks stupid. Um, but it's cool. I like it. I really like the concept. It's like a drawstring bag out of 3x3 ribbing where I made my own cords. They're not I cords, they're like cordage, like twisted cord for the yarn, for the drawstrings, with like the fold over, um, it's like a knitted fold over hem channel. Um, but because of the ribbing, it just sits so skinny that I feel like you would need to knit a really big bag. It'd be a ton of stitches to have it have a nice shape when it's not in use. But no, this actually holds a lot, and it looks kind of nice when it's got stuff in it. Like these skeins are pretty big. I mean, okay, I stuffed it a lot and now it's sort of lumpy, but they fit, right? I fitted them. And that was not the best example of what I would put in it, you know? Maybe I'd put a sock whip and like a wallet and my keys or something, right? And like my headphones, something like that. But I intended to write this into a pattern, and I asked on Instagram if anyone wanted it, and like I probably got like 5 people being like, "Yes, I would love that pattern." But it wasn't that many, and I just felt lazy about it. And I was like, "Do I really want to write out instructions for this? It wouldn't be that hard." But also, it's like the way you knit that channel at the top is kind of technical. Um, because it's not sewn. You like knit it so that you don't have to do any sewing at the end. Also, I don't know if I took any notes on how I did the decreases for the bottom, but I do think I could probably figure it out by looking. So yeah, I don't even know why I'm showing all this other than like I might as well because I have it. Also, it's not that elegant the way I just tied the cordage knots at the end. It's like I didn't know what else to do. So don't really ever expect this pattern unless like 100 people beg me for it, and then I think it'll make me money. Then I guess I'll write it and sell it. But do feel free to take inspiration from this and knit your own if you want. Like, I don't know, I can answer questions about it if you have any questions about how I made it. And who knows, maybe I will make a pattern out of it one day. But I also had the idea it'd be really fun to do quite a large rectangular one and do it as a drawstring backpack, right? But it's just a lot of knitting. Like, this was pretty small. I did use fingering weight yarn, but it was just a lot of knitting. And then I also was like, should I line it? Um, but like, I don't want to deal with sewing a lining to my knitting. I don't ever want to have to hand sew or machine. I don't want to do any kind of sewing with thread on my knitting. It's just, I know it can be done, and if you have the skill, you can probably do it really nicely, but I don't really know how to do it well. And I also don't, I'm not really interested in putting out a pattern where that is like required. So I didn't do it, and I don't think it needs it, but it like, if you had anything sharp in here or skinny, it would stab through the fabric, right? Like, you wouldn't want to have a knitting needle floating in here. You'd want to have it covered. So yeah, that's my drawstring bag. It looks like a pumpkin. Um, any questions? Let me know. I feel like this video did end up quite long, so long video enjoyers, you're welcome. The soldiers who fell along the way, maybe you'll finish one day, maybe not. It's okay either way. Make sure you follow me on Instagram if you don't. Like, I know that's cliche, but I truly think that some people only know me through my YouTube, which is kind of crazy to think about. Um, so yeah, follow me on Instagram. I post stories and stuff every once in a while. I rarely post on my grid. Maybe I should post more casually, more frequently on my grid, but hate to see a low like count. It burdens my soul. Um, I really don't even post stories that much. Randomly I do. And then other times I'm just quiet on Instagram. You can sign up for my newsletter on jamesandwatts.com. You can also find my jewelry there and my knitting patterns, but you should buy them on Ravelry if you use Ravelry, just because the interface is better. If you are interested, I write a weekly blog, just kind of a variety. My blogs are usually quite short because I just don't have a ton of time to dedicate to like writing really thoughtful prose. Um, Last week, I did a short entry about how I love colored contacts, even though I think they're kind of scary looking, and how I like can't help myself. I order a pair of colored contacts at least like every 2 years. I order a pair, and I just broke down and ordered another pair. I was kind of thinking today that I regret not seeing an optometrist first to get like an updated contact lens prescription because I feel like my prescription is not that good. But yeah, I write about my knitting and crafts, but I also write funny stuff and about style and just whatever goes through my head. So, Substack, if you're not familiar, is a platform for like essays. I feel like there's people right outside my door. And my Substack is called Sorry, I'm Good at Everything, but you can just find it at jamesandwatts.substack.com. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry it took so long, and I think, fingers crossed, we'll see me again in December. How about that? I did have someone ask me the other day, and sorry if this is you because I forgot to respond. I'm really bad at like responding to messages on Instagram. But they asked if I was going to do Vlogmas, and I don't think I'm going to, just because it was kind of a lot of effort. I did not keep up through the whole month, and it started to make me feel really stressed out as I got into it. Um, I just felt like a pressure around it to where it like quickly did not feel like fun. Or I started to feel like really self-conscious about posting a video. Like, even when I was posting, I was feeling really self-conscious about posting so frequently. And also like, I don't know, like I was forcing myself to, I just felt somewhat forced on some level in a way where it stressed me out. So I'm not gonna, it was fun, and I it actually makes me really happy that people enjoyed it last year and would want me to do it again. Thank you. But no, my goal is to just be a little bit more regular with this podcast for now. And who knows though, maybe I would want to do it again in the future, but not this year. Thanks for asking. And I'm I do this sometimes where I like keep delaying the end of the video. The video could have been done 20 minutes ago, but I don't know, I'm like already recording. I might as well keep talking, right? That's how I feel. It's easy for me to blather. That's the word, right? Okay, fine. I'll let you go. I'll let myself go. I release myself from the shackles of this video. And I love you all. Happy knitting. Talk soon. Bye.